in a minute, first, let's just talk about what we are doing here. And this is what we're doing. This is the World Mediators Conference. And of course, like Dorothea said in the last session, resolution, revolution, because maybe if the ideas that I throw out are a little radical also. So, and I do alienate a lot of people with my thoughts, but that's the way. If we have to change things, we have to shake things up. So of course, we started on 18th May, which is Ken Cloke's birthday, and I celebrate that as World Mediators Day, because you need a face for the resolution, revolution. He's the face. He fits in every way. And of course, Dorothea is going to tell us about herself, and we are doing mediation in the judiciary. So Dorothea, if you have any thoughts or if you watch some sessions, please talk about the conference also, talk about yourself, your session, take it the way you want to. And of course, Huma is there and Huma is listening if they want to come in later, whenever they want. So Dorothea, all yours.
Thank you, Vikram. As I said, when I entered during Huma's conference, I am very pleased to be here, and I thank you, Vikram, for the invitation once again. I think it's a great opportunity for us from all over the world to talk about what we think about mediation, what we do in mediation, what our expectations are in mediation, and also other methods of dispute resolution. As you mentioned, Vikram, arbitration too. And I myself, I deal with all of them because I am a judge here in Brazil. I'm a judge in the labor and employment field, which here in Brazil is a federal position. So I work with litigation because being a judge, I have the hearings, the sessions in which we gather all the probes that the lawyers bring to us, and we analyze and we give our rulings. I work in a unit which we call the first grade unit because we have the court, the higher court, the Supreme Court, which is Supremo Tribunal Federal. We have the Supreme Court in Labor and Employment Relations, which is Tribunal Superior do Trabalho, something like Labor Superior Court. And we also have the court, the second grade courts, we call second grade, and we have the first grade. So I am humbly in the first grade court. And here, since 2006, we have been using mediation in the court. It's a court annexed mediation. In our court, labor and employment courts, we started using mediation in 2016. And let me explain why. Here in Brazil, we are civil law oriented. So our legal system is not common law, it's civil law. So we depend on the law, the written law, to do things, right? We rely on the law. We also have the precedents, we have jurisprudence, but as a second source of law, because the first source of law, the most important to us, is the written law. So we have the Constitution, we have the laws in the states, we have the federal law, and we apply the law to the case in the judiciary. So in 2016, we had it was not a hard law, it was a soft law. We call soft law because it was a resolution. Since that resolution, which was a resolution from a superior council, resolution 174, and we started mediation in the court, and it has become very big. Today we have 2 national weeks called National Week for Conciliation, which are dedicated to conciliation all over the country. One in May, we just have that. We just finished one in May, and there is another in November. And we have also centers of conciliation. So I myself believe in mediation as another door, as Professor Frank Sanders said, another door to resolution. So, of course, there are cases that will never reach agreement, right? But there are those cases, and they are many cases that will reach agreement using mediation. So it is interesting what Ali said. May I call you Ali? It's interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Is it
Yes.
okay? Okay.
Yes.
I'm already calling Huma and Vikram and Ali. We are all a great family in mediation, right? You may call me Doroteia too.
And I was just telling people in the earlier that I have removed the countries from people's names. Earlier, I used to put countries. Next step is going to be, we are going to remove the last names also. It is only going to be first names after that. We're going in stages.
That's perfect. That's perfect, Vikram. So what Ali said about people not knowing what mediation is, not knowing what they can achieve in mediation, it's very interesting because we also have this problem here. Sometimes people do not know. And the mediator has to explain at the beginning of the session, during the opening session, what they are going to do there. Of course, in the judiciary, judicial mediation is not the same as the extrajudicial, the private mediation. It's different because we don't have all that time. Our time is much shorter than the time the private mediators have. Usually we have a session of 30 minutes. We can schedule another session if that session does not end, but it will be another 30-minute or so, 40-minute session. So we don't have much time.
But
right?
Dorothea, what you have to tell us is you have to shock people with the number of cases that are lying pending in your courts. That is why you only have 30 minutes. You have to tell us that the numbers are huge. The numbers are huge.
Yes, they are. I have them here. For example, in the last, can I share the
Please.
Okay, so I'm trying to share. Okay, can you see?
Yep.
So this is from the web page from the Superior Labor Court, okay? The vice presidency in our Superior Labor Court deals with mediation, which is a public policy here in our country, in the judiciary. So the last Semana da Conciliação is the week I told you that is dedicated to conciliation, and we use mediation. We reach it in all over the country. Okay, this is Brazil's map. We reached 23,788 agreements. Okay. If you click here, this is Amazonas, the state of Amazonas. Perhaps you have heard about the Amazon forest. So this is the state of Amazonas, Pará. This is Bahia, my state, where I work and live. So all of them worked in the National Week of Conciliation. So we reached 23,788 agreements, which in money, right? We distributed in those agreements more than 1 billion reais. This is the figure.
How much does that translate into US dollars?
To US dollars, $1 is R$ 5. R$ 5 in something. Okay. So if you divide there, you will still have a very big figure. We also have the division of the courts in sizes. For example, the big size, I can say that, court. Then we have the ones that had more agreements. For example, TRT 15, which is Campinas, in this region, in São Paulo, okay, was the winner of the big ones. The medium size court, TRT 9, which is Paraná, here. Okay. And the small one, TRT 23, which is Mato Grosso, this one here. And so we work a lot during those weeks of conciliation, but we also work a lot all over the year with mediation and conciliation. These 2 weeks are dedicated to that. And we go to the media, we talk to people on TV, on social media, newspapers, and all of that, in order to tell them what conciliation is, to tell them that they can resolve their lawsuit, because it's a judicial mediation. So we are talking about mediation done in the lawsuits, right? During the lawsuits. So we tell people that they can resolve their lawsuits with an agreement, right? Not only during the weeks of conciliation, but also during all the year, okay? Because we have the centers of conciliation, which we call Sejusky, okay? So, thank you.
But you haven't shocked us on the number of total cases pending in the courts in Brazil. I wanted to hear that figure.
Oh, you want to hear that? Okay, I can do this. Just give me a minute.
Because when I hear those millions of cases pending, our number of cases go down. We have about 50 million cases lying in our courts pending, but Brazil takes the cake, as I understand.
Yes, we have a report, a national report called Relatório Justiça em Números. It's a report, something like report justice in numbers, okay? So we have this report from 2022. I'm just a minute because I'm opening the page.
Yeah.
I had it open and I don't know why I closed it.
No issue at all. But while you're opening it, you can also talk to us, or you are totally concentrating on opening it?
Oh, no, I can talk to you.
I'm just thinking, yes. Doroteia, with the mediator mindset, sitting as a judge, how does that work for you?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, it's difficult. I also teach mediation to public servants and judges all over the country. And the great difficulty we have is to set aside judgment. Because once you are a mediator, you cannot judge. You are not judging people. So you have to take that mindset of judgment aside and try to focus on your role as a mediator. So this is the most difficult thing to do once you are a judge and once you are a mediator too. So it's like changing, like the American people say, you change your hat, right? The hat of the mediator and the hat of the judge.
I am quite sure you can't do that. Doroteia cannot do that. She's still thinking that, no, I should in some way help them. How can they sit together? How can they settle it? I don't want to give a judgment. I want them to understand. I'm sure you keep doing that.
Well, when we are in the centers of conciliation, the judges that are in the centers of conciliation, they do not judge. They are only work as mediators and as a supervisor judge. A supervisor judge is a judge that supervises the work of the mediators that are public servants that are in the centers of conciliation. Once we are in the court as working and functioning as judges, sometimes we try to make people reach an agreement, right? But then we have to be very careful because people sometimes can talk about emotions and things that are confidential. And if they don't reach agreement, then how are we going to judge them after that? Okay, so we have to be careful. But if we do not want to be involved in those issues, we can send the lawsuit to the centers of the conciliation, because there you will have people who will do the mediation session, and those people are not involved with the judgment. Okay.
But Dorothea, also you have to tell us, because Brazil is one of those countries which has separate laws on mediation and conciliation. So you have to tell us the difference between the two. That part also needs to be done.
This is a discussion we have here. We have here this discussion too. We haven't reached a point of agreement. We are still debating that. Perhaps we need a mediator Vikram, for that. We have two legal written law that that's the difference between conciliation and mediation, and both of them they deal with it in a different way. Okay, so the Code of Civil Procedure says one thing, and the Resolution 174 that we apply in the mediation sessions in the labor courts, it says another thing, right? I myself personally created a criterion, but it's mine. I call it the peer labor criterion, because it is based in the conciliations we do here in the labor courts, and that is in the labor law since 1943, which is conciliation is a step in the civil procedure, in the labor procedure or whatever. It is a step, it is a phase in which the judge try to make people reach an agreement, talk to them, apply some techniques. And mediation is a process, a non-adversarial process, which has different steps too: the opening session, the negotiation, the communication, the closing. And we can use mediation in conciliation. This is the criterion I created, right? And I wrote an article about this. But it is different from the criterion that we have in the law. For example, in Resolution 174, it says that the difference between mediation and conciliation is that in conciliation, the conciliator can give options for people to conciliate. And in mediation, the mediator cannot give options. But we know that there is a technique called mediator's proposal, right? Sometimes the mediator can give options to the parties. So it was based on that I created the other criterion. But you see, it is not something peaceful. We still debate about that, the difference between mediation and conciliation. In practice, I think there is, it is not so important, right? If we are doing conciliation, if we're doing mediation, the important thing is that we do it correctly, ethically, and that we respect people's will. We respect parties' will. If they want to reach agreement, okay. If they don't want to reach agreement, okay, right? So to me, this is the important thing.
Well, I always, because I have to, from my side, for me, mediation conciliation is the same. When I look at, of course, let's look at in the India situation, it's the same thing, because we were using the word conciliation and we are still using it in our law, only because Ansitral was using that word when we picked up when we adopted it in our legislation. That was the word used, and Ansitral is now, of course, clarified that it's the same thing. There's no difference. We were using that word earlier. We are using the word mediation now. There is no substantial difference, nothing. So that clarification they've given, but people have picked up from there. No, there is some difference there. And this one that you were talking about, mediation is facilitative and conciliation is evaluative. They try to make that distinction. Problem, Dorothea, is that at the end of the day, the user gets confused. We are now, finally, we want people to use it. We don't want a theoretical discussion on these things. It's about actual usage of the process. So I think that is where the issue lies for me. Let's not confuse the user. The user doesn't understand all these evaluative, facilitative. They don't. They are here. Please help us settle our dispute. They're coming to you for that.
Yes, 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 totally. We also have here this distinction between a mediator who is more evaluative and a mediator who is more facilitative. So we also have this distinction. But as I said, we are discussing about this difference between mediation and conciliation, and we have different views depending on who is doing that. Okay, I have some numbers here, but I don't know.
When you give us the hundreds of million number, then we know you're on the right numbers.
One moment. In India, do you also have do you also work with mediation in the judiciary?
Yeah. That is the larger activity on mediation is happening there, and I'm totally against it, and I criticize it, and that is where my revolution comes in. That for me, the problem is that being connected with the court system, it is going to be in people's mind. Look, the colonizer gave us the court system. The colonizer put it in our mind that disputes have to be resolved in courts and lawyers have to be part of it. Now, here I'm trying to, on the other end, create this grassroots movement that disputes don't have to go to lawyers, don't have to go to courts. You can settle it within yourselves. It is something, and you have the law which supports it. You don't have to get anyone else in. You can settle it. And on our law, that the settlement agreement is as good as a court decree. You don't have to go to anyone. No stamping required. Nothing required. So you have that to develop the grassroots movement. So for me, that's the issue has been that we use that term mediation, but actually the way it is practiced in the courts, if you get the feedback from people who you have gone through it, it is not mediation. These are just settlement conferences. I call them settlement conferences because finally the mediation that I want to promote, I have, of course, put it down on my website, this World Mediation Circle and all. For me, it is a humanistic approach to dispute resolution. You are actually collaborating, working together. There's lots more happening there. Heart, soul, spirituality, these three words you will hear, Dorothea, lots of times from me. So it's a very different process than what is happening in the court system. And of course, in the court system, there is pressure. I see here also a mediator. So there's some mediators who are doing 10 mediations in a day. I mean, some of it, these are people. They have to sit with people. You're not doing this. Is not come in. Okay, what do you want? How much do you want? Are you willing to give it? Okay, finish. This can't work like that. It has to be much more involved than that. So that is why my issue with mediation in the judiciary, and in people's mind, again, you're connecting a dispute resolution method with the courts. And of course, the worst part of it, Dorothy, I don't know about Brazil, you'll tell us, free. It's become free. It'll be free for you. We'll give you your court fee back also. Everything is like, I mean, create that free around it. How do you value free? No one values the things I do. I put out so much content because it's all free. If people had to pay for it, they would have valued it. Similarly with mediation, people don't value it because it's all that free which has got connected because of the judicial system. And obviously it had to be like that because you can't push people into a process. They've come to you because they've come to the court,
Really?
and you give us a decision. We came to you for that. But because the courts are overloaded, you want to send them there. And because you have to send them there, if you ask them to pay, they'll say, no, we're not going to pay. So make it free. And that whole, or everything then becomes the taxpayer actually paying for it. So what are we doing? We are funding people's disputes. They are not being penalized. Instead, we are funding them. So it's a very, I mean, there are lots of things involved there. I've just put it in very short for thing to you, but these are my issues with mediation in the judiciary, and hopefully you will address some of them.
Yes, that is what you mentioned about the time. It is very important for everything, right? First, the judge has to be concerned about not spending a lot of time. Okay, I mean during the session and the decision if there will be an agreement or not. Okay, and at the same time, we cannot be in a rush to have the session, right? During the session, I mean, because as you said, we are dealing with people's emotions, people's questions, right? So we cannot be in such a hurry. Here, we try to schedule 4 sessions a day or 5 sessions a day, not more than that, if it is possible. Of course, during the National Weeks of Conciliation, which are different weeks, then we have more sessions scheduled, right? But these are all studied previously in order to know if we can schedule all those sessions in one day, okay? But regularly, we have 4 or 5 sessions during the morning, or 4 or 5 sessions during the afternoon. It depends on the court. It depends on the centers of conciliation. So I have here the news from the Conselho Nacional de Justiça, which is the National Council of Justice in our country, about the numbers in 2021, because I don't think we have the numbers for 2023 yet. Okay, so I will use this. Let me just share the screen once again. Okay. So it says here that the judiciary power ended 26.9 millions of lawsuits in 2021, 11.1% expansion in the number of cases resolved. We had in the same period, during the same period, 2021, we had 27.7 million new lawsuits, okay, in 2021. 27.7 million new lawsuits.
The total pendency, total number of cases pending now?
The number, well,
total.
97.2% are in electronic format, okay, because we're using the electronic format. Let me see if I have here cases pending.
Well, I was told that there was some 200 million.
1 million, 1
million.
million and something.
200 million. I thought I heard there was some 200 million cases pending in courts in Brazil.
Well, these are the new lawsuits.
Yeah, these
right?
are the new.
We are not talking about the ones that are still in the court. Okay, so the ones from the previous years.
Yeah,
we're not talking about.
Yeah, how many in the courts do you think? Because the number of cases in the court
depends a lot, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
No, I want you to shock people on that, because when we look at the numbers there, why it's also connected with the work I'm doing is because in no way can whatever is happening in the judiciary today also can take care of that pendency. Because look at the hundreds of millions of cases there. it has to be a grassroots movement. Things have to be so decentralized. Only then will we reach those numbers. And it will not go through with, when we keep saying trained mediators and all that, you can never reach those numbers because you cannot train people like that. Because I'm against that whole training process. Again, for me, it is the mediator mindset. You have it or you don't have it. You can't put it into someone. But it's just the fact that you, to get those numbers, where are those people who are going to take them through that, what, even if it, you have to have some training. It's huge. But let's, instead, what I've been saying is, let's identify those people who are out there. Tell people, please, these are people whom you can trust, or you, whom do you trust, get them out, use them. Because everything else that you might put in place, the
And you
numbers.
know, sometimes we have, okay, we talk about numbers, but we also talk about the content of these lawsuits. Sometimes we have simple cases, very simple cases, right? Cases that are not, the figure, the value of the case is not so high. It's very, very little. And the cases are there pending. Sometimes people don't know they can resolve using mediation. Sometimes they don't give mediation a chance. They think that mediation will delay the process, the lawsuit, okay, the duration of the lawsuit. And sometimes they just want to fight. They just want to fight. They just want to litigate.
And is it what, filing cases? Is it free there? Do people have to pay
No, there
something?
is a cost. There is a cost. In the labor court, the cost is at the end of the lawsuit. They pay, right? There is. There are the lawyer's fees too.
But otherwise, filing, there is something. Because in some places they have, I think, I don't know whether Ecuador or somewhere, they don't have any fees or something. Somewhere I was told that that's why also there is no barrier to come into the courts. Anyone can come in. I mean, at least that
But
little.
there is the free, that there are the cases that are free. I mean, for example, the worker doesn't have to pay because the free justice is available to them too, okay? Since they don't have means to pay for the fees, there is this possibility too.
Because Dorothea, we have to, I don't know how you pronounce it, but cultura de paz, whatever. We have to develop that culture of peace. Yeah, that's what,
Culture, yeah.
culture of
Culture of
mediation. Yeah,
the
culture of
past.
mediation. Yeah. So I think that's what.
Oh, your Portuguese is very good, Vikram.
Please don't say.
Congratulations.
At least look, I can see the pause at the back behind you. So of course,
Past, yes.
you believe in that. But I just feel that that is where the future lies. But of course, the judiciary being overloaded, these are the steps you're taking. But how do you see that working out in terms of the numbers? Because 27 million cases filed in 1 year, every year. And of course, you said resolution in one conciliation week was that much. But totally in how many do you think actually gets settled through mediation in the year? Through the conciliation week, otherwise, everything. How many do you think actually get resolved there?
It's difficult to say it in numbers because, as I said, there are cases that are very simple and there are cases that are not that simple, right? I think what is most important is to tell people what mediation is all about, to show them what mediation can do to them, to show them that mediation is not a way out of, because people think that, as I said, that mediation will delay the duration of the lawsuit. So we have to tell them that it is not, and we have to show them that it is not. And I think this is the most important. And then we can think about the numbers, right? Because mediation and the culture of peace, a cultura da paz, is something that belongs to all the society. It's not something to the judiciary only, right? So I myself, I'm not very concerned about numbers. I'm more concerned about doing mediation more and more and tell people or show people that mediation can help them. And once they are in mediation and they see that mediation really can help them, and it can be, sometimes it can be faster, it can be more satisfying than the decision of the judge, then I think the numbers will respond, right?
Well,
But we have a long way.
no, I'm telling you,
Baby
it's
steps.
no, it's actually not a long way. I'll tell you why. Because if we can, when I keep saying that create these mediation circles, you can actually multiply really fast. But for that, the problem that I am looking at is that this class distinction, which is being created with these are mediators, this is the qualification required, this is the certification required. You're creating a class of people who have that. Now, these people at the ground level who are actually performing this, which is what we were talking about, traditional culture or otherwise, those people exist in families, they exist in communities, they have the mindset, they're all there. But if we start putting out in their people's mind, no, these are not mediators. The mediators are the one who have this qualification and everything. They will stop trusting the people whom they actually trust. That will go, that will be the worst thing that will happen, because the numbers that we need have to come from these people, and these people who have the mindset, who are all there. We have to strengthen that. And that strengthening, I think, first of all, the whole thing is getting weak because the experience of mediation that you people used to have, that of course society changed, those people were not valued, those people did not go to, and of course the colonizer creating this mindset that you must go to courts. So the society's structure and whole mindset changed, so that they took that path. So that we have to of course change that. But on top of that, the people who were there and who are there, you don't value them. You don't value them because you, and you will not value them also because you're connecting free with mediation. So again, so now you, who is going to do it for free in this whole society where that person also has to earn a livelihood? He's not going to spend time to do it for free, should not do it for free also. But if
Yeah.
that is the expectation, it won't develop. So we have to tell people, and I look, I've been saying this now for quite some time, that actually the Supreme Court Chief Justice of every country should fold their hands, go on national television and say, we have failed you. We are not being able to give you justice because justice delayed is justice denied. We are not in the position to do it. Our caseload is too much. There is, of course, this method which has been there in this country, in the world for centuries, thousands of years. People have been settling disputes themselves. Please use that process. There is a law, of course, you can tell them, but the law should be so simple that a lawyer should not be required to interpret the law for the people. It should be put out in such simple ways, because which is the law we had, which we took from the Uncitral Conciliation Rules of 1980. It is put out so in such a simple manner that, okay, you have to send the other person a notice. That person says, okay, I come on to do the conciliation under that law. They appoint a conciliator. After that, they do it the way they want to. And then the settlement agreement, they sign it, the conciliator signs it, and now you have a court decree. It should be that simple. And if you want, further formats can be put into it. Okay, this is the way the structure of the settlement agreement should look like. The very basic. Just put that out, because the numbers are too huge. And but the
Yes.
judiciary doesn't want to lose control, because look, finally it's all a power. It's all about power and all. Judiciary wants a say. And of course, I mean, that's the way the structure has been
And
created.
Vikram, if you put more judges, oh, so the numbers are very high, so let's put more judges, let's put more people to work. Okay, we can't do that. Okay, it's okay. But the number of cases will still be very huge. So what can we do? We will be on this circle, right? Running in circles, and more cases and more people and more cases and more people. There will be a day that everything will explode, you know. And the judiciary is in Brazil, at least, is investing in mediation. We have, for example, we have here in our labor courts in Brazil, all over Brazil, the mediators that work as mediators in the labor courts, they have to attend a course that has 100 hours of duration, 40 hours theory and 60 hours of practice. The total 100 hours. So they attend those courses, and only after that they are certified to be judicial mediators.
But I'm saying, Dorothea, this certification is the issue. First of all, of course, these number of hours you can give to the judicial people. But Dorothea, the mindset that she had, that mindset is what you need. If you can put people through hundreds of hours of whatever training and everything, if they don't have the mindset, they will not get the mindset that you have. You can try whatever. So we need people like you who have that mindset. Just identify them. They don't need any training. The practice, they will act once they keep doing those particular cases, they will themselves evolve. I have this, of course, a show called Evolution of a Mediator. That evolution will continue. But the people with that mindset have to be brought out and actually put to work. All this.
Yes, I know, but when people are taught about mediation, when they study mediation, when they are taught about that, then something begins to change in the mindset, in the culture.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, I believe in mediation since school.
Exactly. I know that.
Children need to be taught about mediation.
No, that's what this is the only difference. No, this is the only place I don't agree with people. I'm saying they don't need to be taught. They know everything. We just have to create an atmosphere where this process is something that they value, rather than that whole look. And it's difficult to the extent.
So let me rephrase. Let me rephrase what I said. I believe that they don't have to be taught, but they have to be given the opportunity of resolving their conflicts by their own.
Absolutely.
Okay.
By identifying the mediator themselves. That whole process they conduct themselves, that is when they will get that confidence that yes, this is our process. We don't need an authority figure to go to. We can resolve it within ourselves. Then that is when the culture develops. Because what is happening today, very interestingly, what has happened is that because of this, the societal things that these children see within their houses, within their communities, going to court, everyone is, of course, that's the way they are looking at resolving disputes. These children pick it up. Then they start looking at the fact that there is an authority figure we will have to go to if we have to resolve something. That it goes into children's mind. You can, and very young. We have to catch them really young. So that, that is, look, this is what you have to do. You have to help me create these mediation circles in schools, and it doesn't have to be the entire school. I'm saying whoever has that mindset comes together. It could be small. There could be 4 children who have that mindset. But if they can themselves work together, other children will see, oh, yes, this is something that connects with us. They will join it. And then the circle will grow. And people who have the mindset come together. People who actually, in terms of not the mediators, the mediator mindset, I'm telling you, I don't think you can teach that mindset. It is something which has a lot of factors to it, which come together in terms of the child's upbringing, the value system in their household, a lot of factors there. So I'm not saying you can teach it, but you just have to give them more exposure so they get that. I mean, they start actually doing it. But yes, to people in general, not a problem. There you can talk about all the good things, that settling things works, how it works, collaborate with each other, all those good things you can tell them. But my issue is that people think that we can actually teach people to be mediators. That is where there are problems. That's why I'm trying to put that across.
Well, I think we can teach. We can teach people, and I have a lot of examples of that. Okay, students of mine, people who had a different mindset and changed it, because now we are talking about adults, people who are not children anymore, who perhaps have missed that that instinctive feeling of mediating, of resolving by mediation, or arbitration, conciliation. Let's not talk about arbitration, because
Yeah,
arbitration is more
absolutely.
close to litigation.
I
It's
don't even
closer
talk.
to
Actually, don't talk about it. I keep saying
no,
that's the
no.
A word. That A word is not even
The A
allowed
word
in
is
my
not
shows.
mentioned. Okay,
Not
I will
allowed.
not mention the A word anymore. Sorry. Okay, so people are adults, and sometimes adults have to be taught about this,
Yeah.
especially when you are in an environment of law, of judicial behavior. Sometimes people have to be taught,
No, I
uh, especially here in Brazil, where mediation is a conciliation is a public policy. You know, then we have to have the schools, and we have to teach people, and then this is just a start. People will begin from there, and perhaps they will connect, perhaps not.
no, because I tell you, it is as simple. I mean, in terms of telling people about mediation, is the simplest thing. It's about, I would think, say 10 seconds to tell them. All you're telling them is find someone whom you trust to help you resolve that dispute, and the person will not impose any solution on you, does not make any decision for you. That's all finished. Job done. This is mediation. Beyond that, it is them
Yeah.
finding the right person. The issue is those people with that mediator mindset, up till they are not identified and brought forward, you can keep
Don't
talking
you
about.
believe? Don't you believe this mindset can be created?
Not at all. It can be, what can be done is you can tell people responses, which we were talking about yesterday in empathy and mediation. Someone was saying, okay, this is how you show empathy. I said, yes, you can tell people how to show it. If they don't
You
feel it,
show your own
that's
experience
no, one is the
to.
feeling, one is feeling empathy. That part where the feeling has to happen, you need human beings. If you have to show, I'm telling you, for mediation also, artificial intelligence will do a damn good job. You can put all the responses in that machine. The machine will learn very fast. And there have been examples of artificial
But the
intelligence.
human component will
That's what
be
I'm
out
saying.
of.
The human component, if you want it, and it comes from actually feeling, and that's the kind of mediation that I'm talking about, where heart, soul, spirituality, and that humanistic approach. If you want that, that you will need human beings. But otherwise, if you want to create mediators and you can teach mediation, do it to machines. That'll be much better, because there is so much content available for that machine to learn. It is better that way, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you where the issue lies. That there has been a lot of this thing. Say in Ecuador, of course they've pushed mediation and they're doing a great job there. But what is happening is that mediation centers are mushrooming. Lots of mediation centers are coming up, and they are
I am
training.
I am an example of a person who has learned, was taught mediation. Okay, I am an example of this person, because I went to the LLM course at Pepperdine University in California. Okay, and this is where I got my master's mediation, and I learned mediation. I had to learn
I
mediation,
still
and
don't
then
believe that, Dorothy. I still don't believe that. I'm saying you connected to it. You connected to it because you had the mindset. When theory came in front of you, you
this is a
connected with the.
philosophical discussion.
Yeah, no, I'm actually telling you that, because when the
We should
theory
we
came,
should set another conference for that, only for that.
but I'm telling you that when theory comes in front of someone who has that mindset, they connect with the theory and they start thinking that it is that theory that actually made them what they are as a mediator. No, they were connecting with it. They have
Mm,
thought about all that. That theory has been there because of their thought process, their practice also. It is something that it is all part of them. But suddenly someone puts words to it, and they connect to those words, because yes, this is what they were thinking all the time. I don't believe that by you reading that you got the mindset. Your mindset was there, so you enjoyed that reading. That's my
I
theory.
believe it's not the only thing, but I believe it's one thing that
Yeah, yeah.
can help
That's for the evolution. Yeah,
change that mindset.
yeah. That's the evolution. That evolution that takes
The
place as you go.
revolution,
Evolution.
yes.
Yeah. So that definitely will go on. Which will go on by maybe reading, by listening to people. Which is why I put out all this content out there. How many people get a chance to listen to Ken Cloak? I said, let's put it out there. Let people who have that mindset connect with him, all those things that he's saying, and they will say, yes, this is what I want to do, and this has always been part of me, which is what happens with some people. Who A lot of people go into these, of course, these training programs, as they're called. They go there. The ones who connect with it are the ones who already had that within them, so they
Yes,
connected
yes,
and they took
I
it
agree.
forward. Yeah,
Yes.
because
And there's something very important to mention too, is that when we judges talk about mediation, people usually say, wow, a judge talking about mediation, why is that? It's not that I don't believe in litigation, okay? I believe in litigation. We are a republic, a democracy, and a republic, né? And the judiciary is an institution of the republic. So I believe in what the judiciary does. But the thing is, there are cases that can be solved. There are many that can be solved by mediation, by conciliation, whatever name you use to call. You just have to give them a chance, to give those institutions a chance.
but tell me, Dorothea, what is that word in Portuguese? Is there a word in Portuguese for mediation?
Mediação.
But that is, I mean, is it just a
Almost the
translation?
same.
Is it translation? But actually, like we were talking about traditional aspect of it. Traditionally, is there some process which has a word to it, which is something that people use in their normal language?
For mediation?
Yeah.
Mm,
Local language, there's nothing there.
no, it's mediação, conciliação, acordo. Acordo is the translation for settlement, agreement, acordo.
Okay, so basically, I mean, in terms of the normally what people within themselves, when they talk about, they'll talk about that settlement word. That's what they'll use.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I'm just still thinking that mediation is still a alien word to people.
It is.
Yeah, it's still something
It is.
technical which will come in their mind. Can we connect them to a word which is something which they are more familiar with, more comfortable with?
Acordo.
Accord.
Fazer acordo. Make a settlement.
Okay, so you'll have to maybe type it out later and
Something like that.
send it to me.
Yes.
Yeah, so
When we say acordo, acordo is the instrument.
accord, like the accord or something.
Yes. Acordo. Acórdão is another thing. Acórdão are the decisions of the superior courts. Acórdão. And acordo is the name of the settlement.
Okay, perfect.
The agreement.
So
because yes, and you were right, mediation is an alien word for many people.
Yeah, so the idea was that that's whenever we take it out to the people, let's go with a word that they're comfortable with. They feel that this is a process, this is their process, rather than something being pushed to them as a technical process and everything. But of course, Huma saying she wants to go. Yes, Huma, you want to go? You want to say bye to us?
Yeah, I need to go. And thank you so much, Vikram and Dorita and Ali.
Thank you very much, Huma. Doroteia. I'm sorry.
They call me Dorothy. Dorothy.
I've also been pronouncing it wrong, is it? Doroteia. Doroteia?
Dorothy, right?
Doroteia. My name in Portuguese, my name is already a difficult name for many people. It's an unusual name here in Brazil.
Perfect. Doroteia is perfect. Doroteia.
It's Greek. It's a Greek name. It means a gift from God.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, my father gave me.
So Homa, thank you very much. And of course, if you the other sessions, please drop in. You have the same Zoom link. You can join any of the sessions. Now we have lots of nice sessions coming up over the week.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Thanks.
And by the way, Vikram, your conference is a success.
Yes. You know something, that this time I haven't got so many sessions. Last conference was 93 sessions. And this 93. So if you go to that the schedule of last year, you will see it. I mean, so this time the idea was I also need to maybe not put so much time, because it's all, there are lots of factors there. I keep telling people support the work that I do so that I can at least spend more time here. That doesn't happen because everyone's got used to free mediation and free content from Vikram. So So I have to, from my side, start
Okay,
reducing that.
bye.
Bye, Huma. See you.
Bye.
Bye, Hilma. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Huma's been on lots of my shows, and she's studying in Iran, and she's from Afghanistan, and so.
Oh, I have a very good friend from Iran who lives in the US,
Mhm.
and she went to Pepperdine together with me, and we still talk to each other in the social media.
But what I did was I took you away from the discussion. Did I? Or maybe took it into a different direction. Not a problem. We can come back. You had something to tell us about it. Please do that. I won't. I won't interrupt you. Please. And so please, you have to take us further into judicial mediation in the judiciary. You have to do that. I
Uh,
took you. Yeah, I took you two
is it
into different
me or
direction. Yes,
is it me or Ali?
you. This is
Oh,
your session. Your
sorry.
session.
I thought it
Ali,
was Ali.
no, you.
Okay. You want me to close what I said?
Totally your wish. You want to further, if there was something more that you want to tell us, because I, of course, this normally happens with me. I go into this direction of discussion because I just feel that this is where the development of mediation is going to happen. At least from my side, that's what I'm trying to do. But please, you can tell us more about the situation in the judiciary, how you look at it, how the people how people look at mediation, the judiciary, what is their perception of it. So something on that.
Usually people like mediation in the judiciary. They just have, as I said, they just have to be informed of what mediation is all about and what they can do in mediation, and that they can resolve their issue, their judicial issue in mediation. And also that all of us who work in the judiciary, we have to be very careful with mediation too, and not to become something small, something that is not good, something that is seen like a procrastination of the law, of the duration of the lawsuit. So we have to be careful with that too. And for that, the time issue is very important, okay? And the preparation of the mediators is very important too, because the process itself has to be transparent. There has to be transparency, ethics too. So we need that preparation too. And say that to end what I said, we really need this changing of culture, this changing of mindset, as Vikram said. We need to change from the litigation culture to the culture of peace. And when I say peace, I don't say that we don't have conflict. No, we will always have conflict. For conflict is part of our society, of our relationship with people. It can happen anytime, but peace is a way to resolve. Peace is a way to get to a resolution. Okay, even if we have to do a revolution, right, Vikram? And this is it. Thank you very much for listening to my words.
No, thank you very much. It
And
was
for
wonderful.
having your time.
Yeah, but of course, I didn't give you too much time to talk about mediation in the judiciary, and of course, I had the other discussion. But tell me, you said that these mediators are public servants, which is the judges, or you have, other than the judges, you have mediators who are public servants.
Yes, yes.
There are
The majority of them are public servants who are trained to be judicial mediators. And they are also followed by judges, right? The judges supervises their work, okay? The judges who also know about mediation, who are also trained mediators.
But how many would you have? How many of these mediators would you have, say, in your court, the court that you practice?
In my court, in the first level where I work, we have in the Center of Conciliation, I believe from 6 to 8 public servants who are mediators in my city, in my town, in Salvador, which is the capital of the state. And also the supervisor judge, and they work in the centers of conciliation. Okay.
But tell me, Dorothea, have you had a look at the experience in Turkey in relation to mediation?
No, I
Just
haven't.
have a look at it. I had a symposium which was on mediation legislation. So there was ASEAN from Turkey who was speaking about that. They've had a very good success in labor matters in mediation. Large numbers,
Mm.
large numbers. The only thing, that little thing that came out in the discussion was that whether those settlements happened because, of course, those people, the labor, I mean, did not have a choice. There's too much of a power imbalance, so they settled. So that a little deeper look has to be put, because in terms of success, there's very large numbers there. I think that's one of the only countries where there are huge numbers in the labor disputes. But we have to be a little careful that statistics, because they don't reveal what's happening inside, whether that aspect has to be looked into, whether these settlements are actually voluntary or not. Because finally, on paper, of course it's a settlement, but what went into it? Because I have of course, that's a bit of an issue in relation to what I call these settlement conferences. It's much more which is going in there, which is it really mediation or not? So that needs to be looked at, but you must look at that, the Turkish experience,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that's where.
Thank you. Thank you for the tip.
So thank you very much. We did not get Ali in because at this point of time, Ali, of course, he's a student. He's a student in Pakistan, and I feel at this point of time he has to listen also, because he will have his thoughts and he's building his thoughts on mediation. So of course he's looking at that as an option. But I'm trying to, on these students also, I want them to go in the direction of trying and looking at this as an option. But that's becoming a bit of a problem in countries, because the opportunities are not being created, and the court system itself has certain qualifications required for mediators, and these young students don't meet that criteria, so they can't practice in the courts. And otherwise, because of the court system, that the mediation is not developing outside, like I told you, because free and courts is being connected to mediation. So people think it's some alien concept, some technical things which comes from the courts. They won't develop there. So lots of those factors are happening, and young people like him who have the mindset, for me, I see the only way out is for them to develop these mediation circles in their communities, schools, families, and actually practice it. Just go out and say, look, you have a dispute. Of course, I can try and do it, but I'll bring a more experienced mediator in if you want. I'll bring someone from the community we'll work together on it. So I've tried to divide them into peacemakers, mediators, and that. So anyway, I think you have, anyway, I'm sure if you've taken more of your time, but Ali wants to give a comment. Yes, Ali, you wanted to give a comment?
Uh, I did not want to comment, but I just wanted to say that you are finding talent. I connected with mediation, and now I like it very much, and that's what I think you planned, that we find those students who connect with it, and you have found a student who has connected with mediation, and I hopefully will try to uh, train myself from inside, not the outward training, but
We
from the
won't use that
inside.
word. You have the mindset, you have it all. We just have to create the whole environment for you to take it further, and you feel. But mediation circles is the answer, Ali. I will only know that you've connected with it when we start working on the ground and creating those circles. So thank
Yes,
you very
I think.
much. Yeah, please.
Yes, I think I have connected with it, and a lot of people who come to know about mediation, they think it as an amazing way to solve disputes. And this is the job you're doing, and I think I'm grateful that you're doing. You are someone who is introducing young people with this concept, and it will your contribution. It's your contribution to society, and it's a great contribution in my opinion.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
It's
so much.
nice to hear these nice words. It's always nice. At least you feel that maybe you're
Yes.
doing something right somewhere. Some. So last,
Great initiative,
yeah.
Vikram. Follow on, because we all love it.
Now we
Thank you
have to
very
even
much.
now. Only thing I have to get the pronunciation right. Dorothea, is Dorothea all right?
Yes, it's all
Okay,
right. It's
okay.
perfect.
Perfect.
You
So thank
got
you,
it.
thank you, Dorothea. Wonderful talking to you. And of course, we'll be doing lots of work together in Brazil to try and create that kind of culture of mediation and peace. So thank you very much. And thank you, Ali,
Sure.
for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And please
Thank
join the
you.
other sessions. We have lots of interesting topics which are there. So please, Dorothea, Ali is also coming in whenever he can. You also drop in whenever you can. Just it just
Yeah,
adds to the discussion. It just adds the new perspective comes in, new thoughts come in. It just adds to it. So it's always good. Yep.
yes, it is. It is.
Thank you very